Yeah. Follow us on TikTok, Adulting Midwest Style. We're super fun.
Yeah, we're those cool parents.
Right? I mean, no.
Hello, and welcome to Adulting Midwest Style. I'm Aaron,
and I'm Alicia,
and we have now been doing this podcast for 6 months.
Woo, 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 woo.
And
to the day, mind you.
We just want to talk about things like what we've learned, what we've grown to do, and what we kind of want to do from now on.
Yes, exactly. Pretty much. So to start off beer talk, I am having the fuck COVID one, and it is a can, so I will do a little ASMR for my fellow podcast listeners. Oh yeah.
And I have the Best Brown Ale by Bell's.
What is it? Oh, it's got like a cute little owl on it.
Yeah, and so is the bottle cap.
Ooh. From Comstock, Michigan, looks like. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
So yeah,
clink.
Yeah, clink. Sorry. So anyway, yeah, we're going to talk about kind of our experience being podcasters for the last 6 months. It isn't to the day, actually. I think we started it on September 7th, and of course today is the 8th. So pretty much day plus, or 6 months plus a day.
Yep.
But anyway, why did we start a podcast? Let's start there. And we didn't do a whole episode of that. We'll link it above in the cards. But we thought we'd touch on that just in case if you are new here or didn't see that episode, whatnot. Mm-hmm. But why did we start a podcast?
Yeah, long story short is that it just kind of became a hobby that we thought that we could do together.
Yes. It kind of grew into a thought because of the pandemic, having to be home all the time, and the fact that we were first-time parents and, homeowner. Like, we thought we had, like, adulting lifestyle to share, and it kind of grew into a hobby that we could do together since we weren't able to go out, being new parents and just the pandemic as well. And so that's kind of why we started it. And we had a little help from my sister Danielle. Shout out to Danielle and Danielle's Books. Find her on Instagram. Or Danielle Bar Books, I think it's called. Sorry, Danielle. But anyway, yeah, so we kind of grew it into a hobby and have been doing it every Monday ever since.
I think another thing that we never really mentioned in our other video either was the fact that we were always looking for answers as as parents, as first-time parents. We would Google things like, when can a kid have broccoli for the first time?
Right.
And you get all these different answers, and we just kind of wanted to share our experiences because we're just another source that
right.
are actual parents and not doctors or not bloggers.
Right. And we do all of our baby updates are in a folder. It's called Theo Updates on our YouTube video if you are new-time parents or wanted to watch any of those. But we do include like a bunch of sources or a bunch of products that we've liked or didn't like or anything like that. I can include the playlist at the end of this in the description or in the cards above here. But anyway, that is the main reason we started a podcast. We thought it'd be a fun, cool activity to do. We kind of developed and started kind of coming up with ideas and buying the equipment or not buying equipment. Which we'll get into a little later about the equipment. But we started the whole process of like bringing it together about August, and then a month later we're posting our first video, which ended up being, it was actually just an audio file, the first episode, the very first one we did. And then we were like, screw this, let's do video. Mm-hmm. But anyway, kind of going into our equipment, we'll kind of talk about that first, kind of the growth of that. We started off with no video, like I just said. And then we were like, okay, we're posting on YouTube, we should probably do a video. So then for a few weeks, we were using my Samsung phone.
Yep.
And I'm sure you could tell the quality is very...
Well, what doesn't help with like a phone is that we have a light right above us, and that phone really wanted to adjust the lighting like
Mm-hmm.
every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think there's a way that we ended up turning it off, but it was like trying to figure out everything with this phone. And then on top of that, like we have to try to come up with content ideas and then figure out how we are going to edit this. Like we didn't really know iMovie at the time. We just kind of winged it and watched some tutorials.
Luckily, my sister was getting rid of an old Mac because she had gotten a new one. I don't know if she got it for a gift or something, but she had a new one. So she had this old one that had obviously iMovie on it because all Macs come with it. So we used iMovie right from the get-go and still do. And then as for the phone, we used that for, I think, a few weeks. And then we borrowed a camera from my college roommate.
And then again, it came down to, well, what's the best setting? Why can we only record for 10 minutes at a time?
Yes.
That was
that
we're
sucked.
already at 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would have to cut,
right?
Do everything, go back to where we were before.
It was annoying.
And
I'll be honest.
Try to make it seamless.
That was something that we grew very annoyed with very fast, which brings us into now we have our Canon M50, which we love. You can record for, I think it's 29 minutes technically.
Yeah.
And we've figured out all the settings on it using the help of Google, just playing on it pretty much.
Cameras are confusing.
For real. But we're super happy with this camera. I'll include it in the description below if you're interested. It's great for pictures. It's great for video. Obviously, we use it every week. And that is kind of the progression of the video portion. Now, as for the audio, since the start of this, we've been using these.
Yep.
From the beginning, and we love them.
They're snowballs.
Great. Yep.
Ice.
And then we use these forever. And then our last but not least, our beers.
Something I think I've mentioned plenty of times is that the aggregate audio for the microphones, because when you plug in 2 microphones, you would think, oh, they'll both work. They don't. You have to go into your computer settings and you need to make them both work at the same time.
Yeah, that was a trick that we had to kind of play around with for a while.
Because, you're like, all right, let's start this podcast. We'll just plug them in. We'll just start. We'll go. And then we recorded one, and, it didn't pick up your or my microphone. We're like, what the F?
Yeah. So that was something, it was like a learning curve. A lot of what we have done in the last 6 months. Like, the audio was a learning curve for that. We finally figured out the audio. We actually record it directly into Anchor, which is the system we use for, housing our podcast. And then we
distributing it.
Yep, and distributing it. And then we pull the audio file that we record and overlay it on our iMovie. Mm-hmm. And that's how we get clear, crisp audio for you guys who are watching us on YouTube.
Yeah, because that's the other thing, too, is that we thought we could record the audio and they would just both magically work together.
Not the case. There's ways to get different, you could attach a microphone to your camera or do
we could have gotten attachments. A webcam. Yeah.
But we kind of already bought these. So it's more just a thing where let's make these work. And the process is actually really easy. It sounds maybe a little complicated, but it's not by any means. So that kind of, I don't know, our equipment, aside from we use I think they're called Extreme SanDisk memory cards.
Yep.
And then
because
we have the USB splitter. We have the adapter for the new Mac that we got in January.
Because who would have thought that Macs wouldn't have one USB port? Not one.
We were clueless. When we did it, it was kind of a spur of the moment, we need this. The old Mac is, it's struggling a little bit. She needs more storage. So we kind of upgraded, got a new Mac in December, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And we soon figured out that we needed to buy a adapter to be able to use USBs to, have a memory card port to put our video on iMovie. It was a huge learning curve, but come 6 months, I think we're pretty happy with our equipment. I think some things we've thought about doing is maybe getting some like new lights, like umbrella lights.
Just one overhead light that is just built into the room.
Yeah.
So
we have all the lights on in our basement right now. And I think we could still improve, which is one thing that we might consider doing, like maybe a couple umbrella lights like in those areas to maybe brighten our faces a little bit more. But we're not sure. That'd be the only really upgrade we are considering in equipment-wise in the near future.
And I know that some of you don't even see our face.
Right.
They just listen to you. Just listen to us, and we appreciate that.
We do. We love our listeners. But aside from that, what have we learned in the last 6 months? Aside from like just the equipment aspect, which we kind of talked about what we learned, what issues we ran into, but
you think that it's really easy to just talk about something, but then you put it in your head and then you speak it out loud and you think, wow, I'm an idiot. Like, you want to sound as knowledgeable and everything, and you just say words and they don't come out right. And you just gotta kind of have to think about flow and think about kind of like what you really want to say before you actually say it.
I guess for me, I don't have a huge issue with that because my education is in teaching. So I am very comfortable with kind of just talking. And so I don't find myself having like a super big issue with like forming my words or something like that. But just the whole process of coming up with content, like we wanted to come up with like content that was like a good mix of like kind of fun games to do, as well as like touch on adulting topics that
and parenting.
Right. And so we're trying to do that more so in the next few weeks. We're going to kind of talk about some cool topics, but kind of do a little spin on it so that they're entertaining, like our last episode with the food edition with the name brand versus generic. We wanted to share with you our finds that we have that are generic, but do it in a fun way. Because we didn't want to sit here and be we buy this generic. Blah, 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 blah.
This.
So, you'll see that in the next few weeks or so, that we're going to kind of touch on more adulting type of topics, but also make it fun because we are not serious people. So
yeah, I think next week is the St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, we will be doing, I guess that's a sneak peek. We are going to do like a drinking episode in honor of St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you too much, but it should be a fun episode.
Yeah, the end.
So definitely check into that one. But anyway, so things that I think for me personally, I learned how to edit video and use iMovie. I am the primary editor.
She is.
So that was something I had no experience doing. And so that is something that I personally learned.
And that's just like toying around with like, what does this actually do? And like, how could I apply that?
Right. And so that's something that I feel like I've come a long way with. I feel like I could be a little bit more advanced. Like I kind of want to see if I could do like overlays of videos maybe or something in the next year or so, if I'm referencing like an old video or something like that. But honestly, that is probably the main thing that I learned, aside from what we already mentioned, like with equipment and everything like that, just editing.
Yeah, the equipment was the biggest learning curve for sure. Yeah.
We'd expect something to work because that's what we thought, and for sure didn't do it.
There were times where we would record a whole episode and then we turned around and like we figured out that we could only record 10 minutes.
So like 20 minutes of that was not recorded. Or like with audio, like one day our internet went out on Anchor, and so nothing was recorded audio.
So then you heard it through the camera, which is not the same as these beautiful microphones.
Good. No. So we've run into some bumps like that, like common like computer errors or camera things. But now we kind of have like a good like routine of it. Like we always grab the battery afterwards.
Change the battery.
Yep.
Take the stuff off the SD card.
Yeah. One thing I'll mention, I don't know if if I ever mentioned this before. One huge hiccup that happened, and it wasn't something you guys would have even known. My mom interview episode. I had recorded the entire episode with my mom and didn't edit it that night, didn't want to do anything with it, but we were kind of figuring out our memory cards, kind of clearing them off because we wanted to make sure there was room for like another video that we'd be recording. This was before
we got the 164 gig.
Yes.
We just had like a 16.
Yeah.
So it was like one video.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing. We were using, if you're planning on doing a podcast, video podcast or anything, do not use a 16 gigabyte. Make sure it's I think it's called like SanDisk Extreme Video or something. And get like a decent size because videos are huge. And that was another thing we ran into. Once we learned about the 10-minute video, then it was the memory card that was running out of storage. Like it was a lot of things.
Get back to your story.
But anyway.
It's a good one.
So we were clearing out our memory cards for the next video and Aaron was doing it. I think I was just watching TV or something. And he asked me, because these memory cards we got from my roommate, he's like, so everything on this memory card can be deleted, right? I said, yes. She said she didn't need any of the pictures, like delete all the pictures, which turned into him just deleting the entire...
Control A.
Entire thing, which included that mom interview that I had.
Take one.
Yeah. We obviously, again, I'll put it in the cards. We did do a retake of that and kind of revamped it a little bit, added more questions so it didn't sound like we had already done it, because that was the last thing I wanted it to sound like, that it was kind of done before. Mm-hmm. So I'll link it in the cards above if you're interested in watching that. It's a good one. But that was a big hiccup that
it was just like...
There's things that happen.
Yeah, I was in the doghouse for a little bit.
Just for like a day. It was frustrating because it was a good like 40-minute interview with my mom. She was in town. Yep. So that was another reason she was in town for just the night. So she was like, yeah, like I'll do it. No problem.
And then I had to text her the next day. Like,
I made him tell my mom.
So this is what happened.
So,
and she's like, oh, whatever. That's fine. I'll do it again.
But yeah, so those are kind of things that we have learned or like hiccups we've run into that I feel like are now somewhat resolved as far as the equipment. Content we work on together. We do that together. He comes up with ideas. We'll come home sometimes and be like, oh, I thought of this good episode. And we have a whole content calendar ready. And so we find ourselves, editing the content calendar because we're super excited about an episode or something.
Or something trending happens.
Yeah.
Because we want to try to be trendy.
Yeah.
Like, obviously.
We're cool parents.
Well, that, and we're trying to look for more people to listen to us.
Right.
So we see something that's trending, and if we can apply that to our lives, if we could...
put it in our TikTok.
Yeah, make some sort of spin on it or whatever. So, is that a humble shout out to our TikTok?
Yeah. Follow us on TikTok, Adulting Midwest Style. We're super fun.
Yeah, we're those cool parents.
Right? I mean, no, but we still put out pretty... I think they're funny.
Yeah.
But anyway... So that's kind of everything we learned. We kind of already touched on the products we use. We use the Blue Ice Snowball microphones, Canon M50 with the Extreme SanDisk memory cards.
Canon.
Everything will be linked below if you're actually really curious into looking into the products we use. We're very happy with everything now.
Yes.
Like, we're happy with all of our products we use, and we haven't run into any issues in a very long time with anything. Yep. So... it's pretty...
Nothing is more frustrating, too, than thinking that you have everything figured out, and then, like, there's just one thing that just randomly happens. Mm-hmm. Like...
Oh, yeah, I'm sure things will happen, because it happens, but...
Well, no, it was like, we didn't realize that our memory cards were just not big enough.
Yeah, no.
Or our camera only recorded this long, or... our audio.
But now we've made adjustments, and the products we use now are what we need for what we do.
Yep.
So now that we've talked about like our equipment, what we've learned, blah, 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 what would you say like a goals for the future for this podcast would be?
Well, I think I mentioned it before that like we obviously wanted more people to listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
We think that our podcast is, number one, informative to first-time parents, adults in general, but we're also kind of fun.
We are, aren't we? I don't know.
And we absolutely love any suggestions that always get thrown our way. Well, not always get thrown our way, but like beer suggestions. We had one in the last video. Or
from Impolite Society podcast suggested one. We've had another individual suggest another, like, prairie. I'll have to look at. I'll put it above. We have to
figure out how to get it.
We have to get it, but we did see it, and I'll put the comment above because I can't remember the exact beer. It's called Prairie something, but we love those. We love getting content ideas or beer suggestions, and
everyone gets a shout out for that. So
we love the fans. We love the people that suggest things. We are so appreciative.
People that asked us questions for our Q&A. Another card,
right?
People that suggested like episode ideas, like perfect, like thank you. We will totally do that, and we'll totally give you a shout out for that. And we're just appreciative of that. And
we didn't. Just a side note: we didn't start this podcast because we wanted to make money.
No,
like that would be cool in the future for sure, but we didn't start it for any other reason to just talk to people. Like that is literally. Clearly, I mean, it's not like we're coming after, like, I don't know. We didn't start it for the money. We started to talk to people to kind of just share what our experiences were as first-time parents, as just adults. I guess goals for me, or like just the podcast in general that I thought of would be to include more content that did talk about adulting topics that weren't necessarily like games, because we love playing the games, don't get me wrong. The games are so fun, but being able to talk about adulting topics, we might do that. We kind of just recently talked about maybe adding another solely podcast episode for our listeners who listen every week, kind of adding another episode for them just to listen to. Obviously our YouTube watchers can hop on to a podcast platform and listen to us there, but we thought maybe we'd do a lot more like different or fun topics that we may not want to do on video.
Right.
So we might do that in the near future. But yeah, we kind of want to expand our content to more games, but also not only games, I should say, more like adulting topics for those that are actually curious, like about student loans or like how that works, or like
that sucks.
You know, we already did one about buying our houses, like the first and the second
buying
house.
Our cars, like we should do that.
So funny thing just happened. Sorry if this is a little bit wonky. Our battery died. Remember just maybe 10 minutes ago how we said that we're good about changing our battery, making sure things are charged. Yeah. That's hilarious.
Random cut. But here we are.
Random cut. Sorry about that. Back to it. We do want to do content that is just more adulting related, as well as play our games, because the games are so fun to do just for you guys, and you guys like it too. You always comment how much you've enjoyed watching it.
I mean, I also don't want to make things dry.
No, that is the opposite.
Could you imagine two people just sitting here going, "This is what insurance is all about"?
Like seriously, barf.
Now, when you get your deductible, like
we would do it in a fun way. We wouldn't just talk about something that's a boring topic. We would definitely do it, change it up, do it in a fun way. But that would be something, as well as maybe having more guests too.
Yeah. I have friends.
So do I. Yeah. Weird. Friends are here. Yeah. We have friends. But anyway, we thought about doing more guest posts or guest talks, interviews, whatnot. So, and then, like Aaron said, just growing. We want to grow still. We want to talk to more people, get more interaction. But truthfully, like, we're happy with our equipment now. So other than maybe adding some lighting or something, we're pretty happy with that aspect.
Are you guys happy with all of our stuff?
Yeah. If you have any, like, legit suggestions or any
constructive criticisms,
we're welcome to it, you know. But
we can take it.
Yeah, we got armor Iron Man armor. What?
I don't know. Did you have too many of those COVIDs?
No. Anyway.
That'll be next week.
Right? Yeah, I'm nervous about drinking episode. But anyway. But yeah, so that would be kind of our goals that we have for the future of this podcast. We'll probably touch back and share with you, I'm sure, other stories that we'll have over the next few months, share with you any tips or tricks we have. If you liked this episode, give it a thumbs up, share it with, any friends you have, tell them to subscribe if they like what they see. But, we hope you guys have a great week.
Yeah.
Happy 6-month anniversary for those that have been sticking with us for a while.
Yeah.
We're so thankful for you guys. So happy that you've been a part of it.
When we started, we were just talking to a wall.
Pretty much.
We didn't know any of you.
No. So thanks so much for watching, keeping us, motivated to do it every week too, for sure. We hope you have a great week. Stay tuned for next week. It'll be a fun one. Drinking game for St. Patty's Day.
Beer suggestions. Content suggestions.
For sure. Always.
Q&As. Q's for Q&A.
Yes.
Follow us places. We already said that.
Yep. Well, and on the end screen, it'll show like our Twitter, Instagram,
the
TikTok. But yeah. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Happy week. Happy March.
Mm-hmm. I'm already out.
I can't believe our fucking battery died.
I know.